don't have to tell you things are bad. Everybody knows things are bad. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street, and there's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. The air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. And we sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. I don't want you to protest. I don't want you to riot. I don't want you to write to your congressman because I wouldn't know what to tell you to write. I don't know what to do about the depression and the inflation and the Russians and the crime in the street. All I know is that first, you've got to get mad. You've got to say, I'm a human being. God damn it. My life has value. So, I want you to get up now. I want all of you to get up out of your chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
All right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we are here. This is the Triple Nickel episode 555, episode 555. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Political Spotlight. I'm your host, Kristopher H. Bilbrey, and we are doing good in the neighborhood. It's been a busy day today. It's been a snowy day today. And Alva, I know I told you last night that I was going to call you, but then we went a little long in the after show between Kate, Catherine, and I. So we went a little bit long, and I apologize about that. And then I saw that you had messaged me to call you today. And my day's just been kind of crazy all day, so I didn't get a chance to do that. But I do owe you a call, and if I'm off the show early enough tonight, I will call you if you're here and you say that's okay. If not, I will call you tomorrow, and we will get that out of the way. Okay, so let's see what Joe says. What's the difference between roast beef and pea soup? Hey-oh, anybody can roast beef. What a joke. We got jokes. You guys are jokesters. Okay, so we've got some things to talk about tonight, and it's going to be interesting. We've got a pretty good show lined up for you. Tonight's show is a show that I like because, well, I got to say this carefully. I hate the topic. I hate that we got to talk about what we're going to be talking about. I hate that it's a thing. I hate that it happened. Don't like it. We'll talk about that here momentarily. But I know that what we're going to talk about this evening or this morning, depending on when you're watching, wherever you're here. For those of you that are tuning in live is right now, it's 9:13 p.m. Eastern. It is Monday, November 10th, 2025. I always love when people do this and they're like, hey, Bilbrey, I brought this thing to your attention. As if like I've never paid attention to anything else. Like I'm going to start going down a list of things that are just my absolute pet peeves and telling people what these are. Yes, this broadcast, this show is broadcast solely because of Megan. She's producing the show. She came up with the name of the show. She may be my mother. I'm not really 100% sure. I may only be here on this earth, birthed because of Megan. But you are all, and look, she's going to text me and be mad. She don't understand. My smart ass is like, that's how I joke, but it is what it is. Anyway, either way. No, hey, so here's the deal, folks. We got a topic that we're going to be talking about tonight, and a lot of people that are here watching, you probably are not going to agree with me on this. We're probably going to disagree, and I like that. I hate the topic. I hate what we're going to be talking about. Wish we didn't have to talk about it. And it's definitely a tragedy, and this is one of those shows where we're going to talk about, you got to be a big boy or a big girl to have this discussion. You've got to be a big boy or a big girl to listen to this discussion. You have to have an adult-sized brain that is intelligent and capable of talking about something and seeing around both sides of it. And look, a lot of people aren't capable of doing that. And because of that, people get butthurt. That's fine. I'm okay with that. They get over it. They don't get over it. I'm fine with either one of those. You don't have to agree with me. You can like the show, and you can like me, and you can totally disagree with everything that's getting ready to come out of my mouth. You can not like me, and you can agree with me. You know, there's lots of things. Nobody agrees with anybody 100% of the time, and nobody disagrees 100% of the time. And if you are capable of seeing multiple sides and having intelligent discussion, then the show's going to be good no matter what. If you're not, you won't, and it won't be, and that'll be that. So go ahead and smash that like button now. Smash that like button and go ahead and get that out of the way. If you go ahead and do that, then you know that, I can't piss you off. And, I mean, you can always pull it back or whatever, but, do your damnedest. Smash that like button. Give me that like. Do all of that stuff. Communicate with us and do whatever. And we're going to start off right off out of the gate. Some people, look, the name of the show is Self-Defense or Murder. I'm probably going to get demonetized on this episode because I didn't hyphenate or make something weird cutesy for murder. I hate that about YouTube. It's murder. Let's not make it cute. It's self-defense or murder. We don't need to play around with the word. Like, what in the hell? I have 18 or older checked on here. It is what it is. Don't not monetize this episode because of that. They will, just because I said that. Anyways, so I can't put a poll. If people want to put a poll or if people want to say something, look, you're in the chat. If you guys want to tell me how you feel in the chat, that's fine. I care how you feel, but at the same time, I don't care how you feel because this is my show and I'm telling you what I think about it and I'm telling you why I think about it. But yeah, by all means, specifically, well, wait till we get to the show and we'll do that towards the end. How about we stop? I'll run the show and we'll see how it goes from there. Let's do that. So Stumblefoot said straight away, let's see what he said here because I want to speak to that for 1 second. Stumblefoot said, what did you grab the last time you thought someone knocked on your door during the show, Chris? And let's talk about that. I'll talk about this because we just made a funny about this. I grabbed a gun. Look, because of where I live and what goes on, I know people that are going to knock on my door. And if you knock on the door, if you're knocking on the door, if it's not a bang, bang, bang pounding, that's something a little crazy. But if it's a knock, 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 I'm thinking, okay, maybe it's the pizza man got lost or something happened. And I grabbed one of my little pistoles, and I walked to the door. And like I did as a police officer many, 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 many times, I had that gun in my hand behind my back like this. You can't see it. Got this like this right here. And I say, hello? And they're like, land shark. And I'm like, I didn't order any. And they're like, candygram. And I'm like, go away. And so, but no, I figure out what the deal is, figure out what goes on. And no, I in all fairness, I did not shoot anybody through my door. I haven't done that in a long while. I have woke up to things going bump in the night before, and I've gotten a gun and I've walked around the house, and I've never shot anybody. I've answered the door when I thought somebody specifically was trying to do something crazy once before, and I had someone pounding at the door, and I answered with a gun. And I've never shot anybody that I've looked at through the door, never shot anybody through the door. In all fairness, I've never shot anyone, period. I've never shot anybody while I was a police officer. I've never shot anybody since I've not been a police officer. I have come a couple very close calls. There have been a couple of close calls where if I would have pulled the trigger and it would have went bang, I wouldn't have been surprised, and I would have been justified fully 100%. And because I didn't do it, I can't fully say I don't want to take somebody's life. You don't ever, as a police officer, shoot to kill someone. You shoot to stop the threat, and you deal with that situation. You try to provide life-saving measures. I would never want to kill someone, but I will tell you, if it's between me going home and someone else going home, you better bet your little sweet ass I'm going home, if at all possible. And I would be fine doing that. I would be fine making sure that me not breaking the law gets to go home, as opposed to the person who might be wanting to do me harm, even not being a police officer. If someone tries to do me harm now, I will act accordingly. Now, all of that, let's put all of that out of our mind right now. Let's just get that all out. I want to say this. We are talking about the shooting that occurred almost a week ago. It occurred at about 6:54 a.m. 6:54 a.m. on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025 in Whitestown. That's Boone County, Indiana. And that's what we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about the this case with the limited information that we know. And I am going to tell you that just like everybody else, just like everyone on this chat, everybody out in the world, out in internet land, and everybody who isn't an investigator on the Whitestown Police Department, or a member of the Boone County Sheriff's Department, or a member of the Boone County Prosecutor's Office, everyone that does not have 100% of the evidence here, outside of those people, we all, myself including, don't know shit. Okay? We don't know anything about this. We haven't ran this investigation. We don't know what's going on in this investigation. We don't have all the pieces. And even when this case is talked about and it's closed and it's done, we probably won't have 100% of all the pieces. We probably won't all ever know 100% what happens here. Even if this results in a trial and a criminal prosecution or a civil case happens, at the conclusion of either one of those things happening, we probably still won't know everything. We probably still won't have anything, okay, as far as the whole picture. But I want to tell a story that I heard, and I've heard one of my favorite old-time prosecutors used to say this all the time on juries, okay? He would say that a jury is like a bunch of kids that's got a puzzle, but the puzzle come from a yard sale. And the box is there, okay? And it says 1,000 pieces on the box. 1,000 pieces. And the front of the box is a picture of hot air balloons over a mountain. And you only gave 20 cents for that puzzle at the yard sale because there were 200 puzzle pieces missing out of the 1,000. Now, who would buy that? I'm sure there are people that would probably, but I wouldn't buy that. It's weird. Anyways, if you go home and you put together that puzzle that says 1,000 puzzle pieces, but you know from the person you bought it from that there are 200 puzzle pieces missing. So that means you're aware that when you put this puzzle together, all you're going to have is 800 puzzle pieces. Okay? 800 puzzle pieces. You can still put that together, and unless you've got something going on, if you're a normal human being, you should be able, even without looking at the box, to tell what it is. Now, it might be janky, but you can tell that 800 instead of 1,000 piece puzzle is a hot air balloon over some kind of a mountain. It might not be the best looking puzzle in the world, and it's not a full, complete picture, but there are holes there, but you still have an understanding. That's what happens in a jury. What that means is you don't ever have everything. You're never, very rarely at the end of something like this do you have the full, complete picture. Okay? In a lot of cases, there's only 3 entities, or maybe more, and I'll explain it in a minute, that know exactly what happened. And that's entity A, entity B, and the only entity that matters, that it would be God. Okay? Those are the only 3 entities that really are knowing what's going on. And in a lot of those cases, it's just God that knows. Even the 2 entities don't know. Specifically in this case, because you have a closed door between the 2 people. So you've got someone on the outside, someone on the inside. So they can have perceptions, but they don't even probably fully understand, or they won't ever grasp what fully went on here. Okay, so I want to state that first. Okay. Number 2, I want to say this. Whatever you're getting ready to hear me say, my heart goes out to the victim of this situation. And I say victim, and I am speaking, when I say victim, I am saying my heart goes out to Maria Florinda Rios del Velazquez. That's as great. Velazquez. That's as good as it gets. Maria, that's what you're going to get from me. It's a Guatemalan name. Kind of Hispanic, whatever. I'm surprised I got that far. My heart goes out to her, 32-year-old woman. My heart goes out to her husband and her 4 small children. She's got 4 children. The ages range from 17 to 11 months. Absolutely heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. I also want to be very clear. That, hey, star that thing about Michael Goodman, because I want to come back to that. That's really good. Okay. So number one, sometimes terrible, horrible accidents happen, and we question that, and we want to blame people, and sometimes it's not there isn't a bad guy. Sometimes there's just a bunch of victims. Okay. Sometimes that's not true. Sometimes everyone on all sides are victims of different kinds. Okay. Sometimes everybody's a bad guy, and bad guys get hurt, and one bad guy hurts another, and they're all bad guys. There's all kinds of different things that go on here. People still get hurt when that happens. My heart goes out to the families of on both sides of this, the unintended people who wasn't involved in this in any way. They're just connected by lateral connection. Somebody's cousin, somebody's best friend. They were at home in bed, or they were on their way to work or doing whatever, and they weren't connected. And then they learned about this horrible tragedy. Even in a case where you have a bad guy that acts and the bad guy acts, that's just that person. That doesn't mean their parents or their kids or their brothers or sisters or spouse had anything to do with it. And that can be a bad situation. So I'm fully aware, and I want everybody else to be on that same page as well as we go through this. Okay, my heart goes out for the victims, their family, and for all the people. My heart goes out to the first responders that had to go and deal with this and all of that. So it's really crazy. It's also possible for things to be why would it be a setup? I didn't say it would be a setup. I don't know if somebody else said it would be a setup, but we'll get to that in a moment. So I just want to say, for the record, that there can be lots of things that are true here, and there can be things that are legal and moral, and there can be things that are legal and not morally right. There can be things that are moral but maybe illegal. So you just have to be willing to step outside of the comfort zone and to see all sides. Okay, so first thing, I have talked to a couple sources connected to this, folks within law enforcement. And at this point, that is the furthest that I'm willing to go. I'm not going to say where. Maybe as we go a little bit further, maybe when something is reported, I'll be willing to say more. Okay, but I will say that I reached out and I've talked to 2 different sources. And I will say this: I've talked to one source that's connected to the people who were in the house, so a source that's connected to the person that's pulled the trigger. And I've talked to a source connected to the law enforcement side of this. And with that being said, I still know very little about what's going on here. And I fully believe that the police department is investigating this by the book. I think that they are taking their time. They know this has already been a national and international story. It's been covered by every news agency in America and outside of America. It's been covered everywhere. So this is going to be a national and international story no matter what happens. No matter what happens. Okay. So I think they're being cautious there. The prosecutor in Boone County, his name is Kent Eastwood, and he has basically lived his life as a prosecutor, deputy prosecutor, chief deputy prosecutor. He's good. He knows what his job is. He's a good prosecutor, and he knows that this is going to be a tough case and it's going to be reviewed, and he's going to be everybody on all sides of this is going to be damned if you do, damned if you don't. Okay. And I think they're all aware of that. So that's why it's taking very slow. Now, there are a couple of things that people have asked. Why don't we know the name? Why haven't they released the name? Why haven't they released the name? They released the name. Here's the thing. In investigations, they typically try really hard unless or until someone is being arrested or has been arrested, or they're seeking this person out there. While they're running the investigation, as long as an arrest has not been made and or charges have not been filed, they don't release the name of what people would necessarily consider the suspect. Now, that's law enforcement. That's law enforcement. Okay? That doesn't mean the name's not out there. I know the name of the homeowner. The name of the homeowner is out there. I am not going to give the name of the homeowner because I don't feel like it's my responsibility to do that. I've been on both sides of the investigative angle here as a police officer in the prosecutor's office, and I feel like if the man or woman, I've slipped there to say enough, but outside of the investigation, I guess I'll say this: the man who is the homeowner and that made the 911 call, I don't have any knowledge that he was the shooter. It could have been his wife. I don't know. Maybe he doesn't have a wife. I know there's a family there of some kind. Don't know what the makeup is, but the homeowner's name is out there. If you want the name, you can find it. It's out there. Okay. It's not hard to find. I don't understand why everybody's losing their mind over this name. It's out there. And furthermore, like Alva said, it doesn't matter who it is. For us to discuss this, for us to talk about this, we don't need to know the name. We know the name of the victim, and you almost always know the name of the victim, and you should remember the name of the victim. And so that's why that's like that. Okay. So that I want to start there. So let's set this up, what we do know about this case. We know that there was people living in a house. We know that it's fall, starting to get into mid to late fall in Indiana. We know that on Sunday the 2nd, daylight savings time happened. So the time adjusted, and we know that it's darker in the morning and darker. It's like the worst of all worlds. This is bad. It's dark in the morning and it's dark in the evening. So 6:45, 7 o'clock. It's not midnight. It's not like 2 o'clock in the morning dark, but it's still, duskish, dawnish, whatever you want to say, I guess, dawn. It's like not, best visibility. It's not noon. And there were these two people, Maria and her husband, who are from Guatemala. And they've lived in America, or in Indiana for a year. They've been in Indiana for a year. I do not know how long they have been in the United States. I know they've been in Indiana for a year. I don't know if that means they've been in America for a year. And I just want to state right off the bat, I don't know anything about these people's legal status. I also don't know that it matters right at this moment. I don't know if they're legal, illegal. I mean, I guess one could say, and we're just going to play devil's advocate with this. One could say that if they happen to be illegal, if they weren't here, this wouldn't have happened. Okay, let's just call it how it is. But I'm not saying that they're illegal. I don't know that they're illegal. They could very well be legal. They could be here on visas. They could be here going through the green card process. I have no clue about that. Okay, I don't care about that right at this point. We can find that out, and it may be valid at some other point. I don't see it being valid at this point specifically. They both work for a cleaning company, and the name of the cleaning company is Ryan's Homes. Ryan's Homes. It's out of Indianapolis. And the Velazquez, the husband and wife, were hired by Ryan's Homes to clean the windows in a model home. That was getting ready to be shown. Wait a minute, not true what? What are you saying not true about? Well, okay. I'm just going, okay. Well, listen, I'll go by my information, and if you've got other information, look, this is the information that I've been given, that other media sources that have ran with, and that I've been talking to my sources. So I'm not. If you've got further information or whatever, that's fine. I'm going by the information that I have as of showtime. So that's how we'll play that. So if you've got something that show otherwise, I'll tell you where I'm like, okay, I was wrong in that situation, and I will correct the record. But as of right now, listen. No. You're I think you're getting confused on what I'm saying. Listen. I'm not saying the name of the cleaning company is Ryan's Homes. I'm saying they were hired by a company called Ryan's Homes to clean this house. I'm not saying that's, I think there's where the confusion is. I don't know the name of their cleaning company. I'm saying they were hired by a business called Ryan's Homes to clean this model home. You get what I'm saying? Ryan's Homes may have hired whatever their cleaning company is called to clean this model home. You follow me? Are you getting what I'm throwing down? So there was a brand new addition going in called Windswept Farms. And Windswept Farms is there in Whitestown, and it is connected. It's connected to a facility, another housing development called the Heritage Neighborhood. Okay. Well, I'm going to try to explain it one more time, because Ryan's Homes is the name of a builder. So let's try to understand what we're saying here. Megan, you have your business. Let's just call it Megan's Business, cleaning homes. And I am a constructor. I'm a contractor. I'm a construction person. And I'm Bilbrey's Homes, and I build homes in this neighborhood. And I hire your cleaning company to come clean my houses. That doesn't mean Bilbrey's Homes is your boss. It just means, I guess technically it does, I hired you to do the job. So I think that's what you're getting confused on. Their cleaning company is whatever your name, what you know it to be. They got hired because Ryan's Homes are who's in charge of the house they were supposed to be at. They're the client. It's the client. Ryan's Homes is the client. Okay. So the place that they were supposed to be at was an empty building. It was an empty model home that was built by Ryan's Homes, contrary to whatever people in the comments want to say. I don't know what the name of the cleaning company was. Ryan's Homes built the model home. Ryan's Homes also built Windswept Farms. Windswept Farms is supposed to be opening soon. And Windswept Farms and Heritage, the Heritage, are two additions that are connected by like a road. And they were supposed to be going to the model home inside Windswept Farms. However, instead, yes, that makes sense. It also doesn't have jack shit to do with anything. I get it that the cleaning company hasn't said anything. I see that. You said that. But there is there's a whole nother entity involved that very well could be talking, and it's Ryan's Homes. And since the two additions are connected to each other, it makes sense. I don't think McDonald's hired them to be there. It makes sense that the contractor would have done that. That just is common sense. So they were supposed to be going to the model home inside Windswept Farms. Instead, they showed up to 4283 Mazzy Lane inside Heritage neighborhood. And at 6:49, the homeowner at 4283 Mazzy Lane called 911 to report that two Hispanic males, okay, he reported two Hispanic males were trying to break into he and his wife, his home while he and his wife were in an upstairs bedroom. Exactly 5 minutes later, at 6:54, that homeowner told dispatch that they fired their weapon. Dispatch logged that they heard a weapon was fired. At 6:57, Maria's husband dialed 911 to report that he and his wife had showed up to work and someone shot his wife. So you have the first 911 call at 6:49. You have the shot at 5 minutes later at 6:54. And then you have the husband of the woman that was shot that made the phone call at 6:57 a.m. saying that his wife had been shot. Now, I've seen a lot of people saying, man, what, that's crazy that they would call the police at 6:49 and, shoot their weapon at just 5 minutes later. Well, that's where we have to step outside of this situation for a moment. Okay, step outside of this situation. Step outside of this. Nobody has the police report, but if Ryan's Homes knows I can't believe anybody's still arguing about this. If Ryan's Homes know that they've hired them and everybody in the neighborhood knows that these houses have been built by Ryan's Homes and these people are saying, hey, we were hired to clean this house, I think it's just a safe assumption that they were probably hired by Ryan's Homes. I don't I don't think anybody's trying to get anybody there. I think that's just a safe assumption. Bad shit can happen in less than 5 minutes. Bad shit can go down in a minute, in 30 seconds. So to say, well, I don't know that it's right that they called 911, and everybody keeps tying this to the Bad Neighbor thing that's been on Netflix. And what happened there was the woman in that situation said, she was over here beating on my house for 10 or 15 minutes. And she stuck with that story and kept telling that story and kept telling that story. And the police kept trying to give her every out to say something different. And when they looked at the first 911 call versus when the shot was fired, and that's where it was 5 minutes. That's why that would be a problem. That could be a problem if someone's trying to say, oh, they were over here, breaking in for an hour, but, there was a short time. That could be an issue. But the fact that this person calls 911 and says, hey, I think someone's breaking into my house, and then action is taken inside 5 minutes, that is not specifically anything that means anything. So don't use the time to mean that it means anything, okay? A couple of other things. The victim was unfortunately shot in the head. Okay. And I keep hearing everybody say, well, why did he have to shoot her in the head? Why didn't he shoot her in the foot? Why didn't he shoot her? Look, folks, he was shooting through a door. He didn't know where he was shooting. He just shot through a door. Now, there are legitimate reasons why someone would fire through a door. You could legitimately do that. If I'm beating your door down and I'm saying, I'm coming to kill you, I'm coming to kill you, I'm coming to kill you, and I'm beating your door and I'm whatever, and I'm kicking, you can stand at your door and you can fire. Okay? Just fire straight in the door. You could use a 12 gauge shotgun. You could shoot your 40 cal. You could shoot your 38, whatever, straight into the door. That there's legitimate reasons to do that. I'm not specifically in this case saying you do not have to let them make entry. Okay, so let's talk about this for a second, okay? Because there's a couple things. I think the thing I'm trying to do is make sure that everyone is, instead of just trying to throw out a bunch of things that they've heard forever, all their life, you have to look at what's real, not what we just assume. Okay. So first and foremost, in the state of Indiana, that's where this happened, there is something called homicide. Okay. Homicide is any time that a human person is killed, their life ends at the hands of another human. Homicide is just the taking of a human life. It doesn't have to be illegal. It could be illegal. It could be justified. It doesn't have to be justified. It's just when the government performs an execution, the government has committed homicide. They have taken a life. If God forbid, a man is raping a woman and the woman getting raped and she's getting beat and whatever, and she picks up a gun and shoots the man and kills him, she's committed homicide. Okay. Homicide is a legal definition, but honestly, it's a medical definition. It's something the coroner uses. It's something the pathologist uses. It's something to note how a person died. People oftentimes get homicide and murder confused. And the reason they get that confused is because Law enforcement is supposed to investigate all homicide. So you will oftentimes hear, specifically in big cities, you'll have a homicide unit, a homicide team. You'll have detectives that investigate homicides. It doesn't mean it's not the murder unit. It's not the suicide unit. It's the homicide unit. They're investigating all death. It should be the death unit, I guess, but that doesn't sound nice, I guess. Homicide can be legally justified, and it can be, people could be morally questionable, but it could be, just because it's morally questionable doesn't mean it's not legally justified. Okay. Homicide is just taking a life. Murder, on the other hand, is defined under Indiana code. Murder is a specific set of words. Indiana code 354211 is the Indiana code for murder. A person who knowingly or intentionally kills another human being commits murder, a felony. That's it. That's murder. A person who knowingly or intentionally kills another human being commits murder, a felony. Now, there's all kinds of subsections. A person who knowingly, or a person who kills another human being while committing or attempting to commit arson, burglary, child molestation, consumer product tampering, criminal deviant conduct, kidnapping, rape, robbery, human trafficking, promotion of human labor trafficking, promotion of human sexual trafficking, promotion of child sexual trafficking, promotion of sexual trafficking of a younger child, child sexual trafficking, or carjacking, before it was repealed, commits murder, a felony. A person who kills another human being while committing or attempting to commit dealing and manufacturing of cocaine or narcotic drug, dealing in methamphetamine, manufacturing methamphetamine, dealing in a Schedule 1, 2, or 3 controlled substance, dealing in a Schedule 4 controlled substance, or dealing in a Schedule 5 controlled substance, or, except as provided in subsection 6.5 of this chapter, knowingly or intentionally kills a fetus in any stage of development, commits murder, a felony. Now, the except provided in subsection 6 talks about the abortion thing. Yada, yada, that's a whole other show. We're not getting into that. That's the definition for murder. Okay. The definition for voluntary manslaughter, 354213. A person who knowingly or intentionally kills another human being, or, except as provided in subsection 6 or 5 of this chapter, kills a fetus in any stage of development while acting under sudden heat, commits voluntary manslaughter, a level 2 felony. The existence of sudden heat is a mitigating factor that reduces what otherwise would be a murder under section 1.1 of this chapter to voluntary manslaughter. Okay? Okay? And we will know that. That is something I fully believe that we will know. How far he was away from the door. Okay? So that's voluntary manslaughter. The definition of involuntary manslaughter, as used in this section, fetus means fetus in any stage of the development. A person who kills another human being while committing or attempting to commit a level 5 or level 6 felony that inherently poses a risk of serious bodily injury. A class A misdemeanor that inherently poses a serious bodily injury. Or battery commits involuntary manslaughter, a level 5 felony. Except as provided in subsection 6.5 of this chapter, a person who kills a fetus while committing or attempting to commit a level 5 felony, and those same things is a violation through a violation of 9351 through 9355. Operating a vehicle while intoxicated commits involuntary manslaughter, a level 5 felony. So let me give you an example of this. If we're at a bar and you say, hey, Bilbrey, that's a stupid haircut. And I'm like, oh, yeah, you're a stupid haircut. And we get mouthing each other because we're drunk and we start fighting and the bouncers throw us out. We're going to have a good old fashioned fist fight like we do, like they used to do. And we're just punching on each other. No one's trying to kill each other. I didn't wake up with the intent to try to kill you. You didn't wake up to try to kill me. We don't hate each other. We're just drunk idiots. And I punch you and I just hit you and knock you out. No big deal. You wake up. But if you fall down and hit your head on the concrete and you die as a result of that, that's an example of involuntary manslaughter. So, yes, I think you probably wrote that before because I just read the definitions of voluntary and involuntary. Okay. And then reckless homicide. That definition is 354215. Reckless homicide. A person who recklessly kills another human being commits reckless homicide, a level 5 felony. And that's very open. Who recklessly kills another. So that would be like if you and I are in a car and I'm going 170 miles an hour acting like an idiot and we wreck and we roll it and I smash your head, I could very well be looking at reckless homicide. Okay. Now, there are a couple of other definitions that we have to pay attention to. I want you to pay very close attention to the definition here. Use of force to protect person or property. 354132. In enacting this section, the General Assembly finds and declares that it's the policy of this state to recognize the unique character of a citizen's home Oops, hold on. I messed up there. Stand by 1 second. I just messed up. 3541. Okay, here we go. 3541. And be clear here. I'm talking about this. I'm not an attorney. I'm not giving you legal advice. I'm talking as a former law enforcement officer and just a human. We all have the ability to read and should have the ability to understand and kind of wade our ways through this. Don't take any of this as legal advice, or I'm not giving you any kind of information for you to do or act in any way. That's all on your own deal. Okay, so just be very aware of that. Okay. I want you to listen to this. In enacting this section, the General Assembly finds and declares that it's the policy of this state to recognize the unique character of a citizen's home and to ensure that a citizen feels secure in his or her own home against unlawful intrusion by another individual or public servant. Okay? By reaffirming the longstanding right of a citizen to protect his or her home against unlawful intrusion, however, the General Assembly does not intend to diminish in any way the other robust self-defense rights that citizens of this state have always enjoyed. Accordingly, the General Assembly also finds and declares that it is the policy of this state that people have a right to defend themselves and third parties from physical harm and crime. The purpose of this section is to provide the citizen of this state with a lawful means of carrying out this policy. Provisions concerning civil immunity for the justified use of force as defined in this section are codified under Indiana 353031. As used in this section, public servant means a person described in the other so police officer, person of the state, A person justified in using reasonable force against any other person to protect the person or a third party from what the person reasonably believes. Now that's going to be what's going to be the crux of this case. A person is justified in using reasonable force against any other person to protect the person or a third person from what the person reasonably believes to be the imminent use of unlawful force. However, a person is justified in using deadly force and does not have a duty to retreat if the person reasonably believes that force is necessary to prevent serious bodily injury to the person or a third person or the commission of a forcible felony. No person, employer, or state of a person in this state shall be placed in legal jeopardy of any kind whatsoever for protecting the person or a third person by reasonable means necessary. A person is justified in using reasonable force, including deadly force, against any other person and does not have a duty to retreat if the person reasonably believes that the force is necessary to prevent or terminate the other person's unlawful entry of or attack on the person's dwelling, curtilage, understand that, keep that word in your mind for just a second, curtilage, or occupied motor vehicle. With respect to property other than a dwelling, curtilage, or an occupied vehicle, a person is justified in using reasonable force against any other person if the person reasonably believes that a force is necessary to immediately prevent or terminate the other person's trespass on or a criminal interference with property lawfully in the person's possession, lawfully in possession of a member of the person's immediate family, or belongings to a person whose property the person has authority to protect. However, a person is justified in using deadly force and does not have a duty to retreat only if that force is justified under subsection C. A person is justified in using reasonable force, including deadly force, against any other person and does not have a duty to retreat if the person reasonably believes the force is necessary to prevent or stop the other person from hijacking, attempting to hijack, or otherwise seizing or attempting to seize unlawful control of an aircraft in flight. For purposes of this subsection, an aircraft is considered to be a flight while the aircraft is on the ground in Indiana, after the doors of the aircraft are closed for takeoff, and until the aircraft takes off in the airspace above Indiana or on the ground in Indiana, after the aircraft lands and or before the doors of the aircraft are opened after landing. Notwithstanding subsection C through E, a person is not justified in using force if the person is committing or escaping after the commission of a crime, the person provokes unlawful action by another person with intent to cause bodily injury to the person, or the person has entered into combat with another person, or is the initial aggressor, unless the person withdraws from the encounter and communicates to the other person the intent to do so, and the other person nevertheless continues or threatens to continue unlawful action. Notwithstanding subsection F, a person is not justified in using force if the person is committing or is escaping after the commission of a crime, provokes unlawful action by another person with the intent to cause bodily injury to the other person, or continues to combat after the person has said no. A person is justified in using reasonable force against a public servant if the person reasonably believes the force is necessary to protect the person or a third person from the person reasonably believes the imminent use of unlawful force, prevent or terminate the public servant's unlawful entry or attack of the person's dwelling or curtilage or occupied motor vehicle, prevent or terminate the public servant's unlawful trespass or criminal interference with property that they have the possession to be in, blah, 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 blah. And it continues going on down there. Now, what this means and why this really matters, okay, is, first off, the old belief that we've all heard forever that if someone's breaking in and you shoot them and they fall outside, you better drag them back in. Take that out of your mind. If you're walking through the streets of Muncie, again, I'm not an attorney and I'm not giving you legal advice. This is just, I'm telling you what I would do in my life. You all have responsibilities and convictions and commitments and morals and your thoughts and beliefs. You have to judge yourselves accordingly. I am not an attorney and I'm just telling you how I would act. Okay. Just be very clear there. Again, if I'm walking through downtown Muncie and I'm minding my own business and somebody attacks me and they've got a knife and they're trying to stab me, I'm not in my house. I'm not in a house. I'm just down at Main and Jackson. Main and Jackson don't cross. I'm down at Walnut and Jackson. I'm down at Walnut and Main. There we go. If I'm down at either one of those roads, I'm in between Main and Jackson on Walnut, and someone's trying to hurt me and stab me, and I feel like they're trying to kill me, I can use deadly force. If I'm walking down the road and I see John Doe trying to hurt or stab one of you, I can use deadly force. If I am at my house and I'm asleep in bed and I hear what sounds like to be someone breaking into my house and they're breaking in, okay, and I'm fearful that they're breaking in to commit a felony or to commit violence against me, and they're going to hurt me, I can use deadly force to protect myself or my family. If I'm outside mowing my yard and someone comes up to me to harm me and we're on my property, I can use deadly force. So the whole rule of the curtilage is the area around your house, your property. It's the area. That's why that word is in there. That's why I said pay very close attention to that word. Curtilage, that word matters. Okay? That what if somebody's snoring? There would be a lot of dead people. My mother would probably have murdered my stepfather long ago. Okay. So I don't know what was going on in this case with this woman. I don't know what was going on with the homeowner. Nobody does. People saying, well, the guy shot high. Why did he shoot high? I don't know. I don't know what kind of gun. I don't know what kind of gun he had. Maybe he just went and bought a gun, and after a couple of months of having a gun and he'd been shooting, maybe he went and thought, hey, you know what? I need to get one of those fancy red dots. A lot of people, when they put on one of those red dots, a lot of times it'll tend to make them shoot high because they're now looking through this glass. They don't know what the hell they're doing. They probably don't need the red dot. They don't really have any whatever. And so he drifted a lot. That happens. That shit happens. Hello, Drew. Okay. I don't know. I don't know what the deal is with that. I don't know where she was. I don't know where she was in connection with the house. I don't know, I don't know what she was doing. The husband says that she was fumbling for the keys or trying to find the keys. Now, the information that's come out, and I'm going to be very clear, okay? The only thing that we do know, and it looks as if the police have put the information out, they have stated that to them, to their initial investigation, it does not seem as if she had committed residential entry. Okay? So what that means is it doesn't look as if she had kicked the door in, or that he had kicked the door in, or that they were crawling through the window. It doesn't, I don't believe at this point that she had put the key in the door. I cannot tell you why this man or his wife, whoever pulled the trigger inside the house, pulled the trigger. I don't know that yet. Okay. Yeah, look, that's all correct. We've seen that. I'm getting ready to put the picture of the door up here. We'll be able to look at it. You can clearly see where the bullet hole is. She was shot in the head. So we know where the bullet went. We don't know why it went there. We don't know if he was scared and so he thought that he was, pointing at center mass, and instead he shot north, or he was anticipating the kick and he was scared and he drifted up. There are thousands of reasons why he would have shot in the head. I don't believe that he woke up to shoot this Maria. I don't think he knew her. He certainly didn't, I don't believe, thought that she was coming to his house. She wasn't going to his house. She was going to a lived-in model home in a complete different neighborhood. So there was no intention here. He did not wake up. There was no premeditation, in my opinion. So this is just my opinion. He did not premeditate this. I don't know why he did what he did, okay? I do know that the prosecutor's office down in Boone County is a pretty damn good prosecutor's office. I really trust the work they do. I also know that my very good friend, Guy Relford, the gun guy, attorney Guy Relford, has been hired to represent the people inside the house. Okay? Now, listen. This is just one of my biases. We all have biases, and I'm going to tell you one of my biases. One of my biases is when I hear certain people that I know, it's like when you go to somebody that you know is a good doctor and you've known this doctor your entire life. And when that doctor tells you something, I'll put it to you like this. My grandparents love their doctor. He does a great job by them. But when my grandparents have questions about medicine, they don't call their doctor. They call my stepdad. My stepdad is a former pharmacist. He is a pharmacist. He retired. But he's been a pharmacist, and my grandparents are just absolutely convinced that he knows more about, and it is true, the pharmacists have to keep up on that. The doctors are told what they need to be told by the pharmacy, by the drug salesmen that come through, and pharmacists, that's their world. The pills, the drugs, the medicine, that's their world. So there is some right there. But my grandparents, it don't matter who tells them. It doesn't matter if they're standing in front of a pharmacist and the pharmacist is telling them something. They're going to have me contact Phil, and Phil's going to tell them yes or no, or maybe so, or here's what you got to do, or here's what you don't do. And they're going to take that word. And so they have that bias. Well, I know Guy Relford, and I know him very well. I've known him for a long time. He's an attorney. He's been on the show before, the old show. And to know that he's taken the case of the people behind the door, it causes me to have a thought. And that thought is, there's something more here. There's something more here. We have to be very careful with our emotions in this case, because the emotions are horrible. The husband saying, I don't know how I'm going to live my life. I don't know how I'm going to continue. Like, that's awfully, horribly sad stuff to hear. But anybody that loses a loved one, a terrible accident, a murder, a car crash, cancer, whatever, that's all tragic. And we all don't know how we're going to continue on. But we have to be able to compartmentalize the emotions, the opinions, the facts, and we have to look at what's going on here. Over the next several weeks, months, possibly into years, the Indiana Castle Doctrine is going to be examined. Listen, I, for one, as a Second Amendment supporter, lover, as someone who loves my life, the life of my family and my friends, as someone who trains with my weapons, who has handguns, who has rifles and shotguns, and who shoots and knows these things, I'm happy that I have the ability to defend myself. I also know that I'm going to rely on my training, and that's what you should do. And I offer this, that folks, if you're going to have guns, if you're going to have a handgun, you need to know that handgun inside and out. If you're going to have a rifle, you need to know that rifle inside and out. If you're going to have a shotgun, you need to know it inside and out. You need to know how it shoots. You need to run drills. I'm the kind of person that when I'm driving to my grandparents' house and I get stopped by a train, I don't pull straight up to the train. I leave about 2 car lengths in case something stupid would happen and I need to get through. Or when I'm sitting there in my drive, waiting on my grandparents to come out, or I'm waiting to leave or whatever, I will go through my mind. And when I always carry a gun. And sometimes I'll just sit there and I will, in my mind, say, okay, someone's shot me through the window and my arm's dead. My right, I can't move my right arm. And I will practice drawing my gun with my left hand, and I will go through these scenarios. So if, God forbid, something ever happens, that muscle memory training is going to kick back in, and I'm not going to freak out and willy-nilly shoot somebody in the finger and their head when I don't mean to, whatever. You have to train. And I don't know what the level of this guy's training or understanding was, or the woman or whatever. Somebody else said, and we don't know this yet, and maybe we'll find out. What if a minor was the one that shot the gun? What if this person's child shot? What if they were coming down the stairs and a teenager, a 16-year-old, got the gun and was scared, and he or she, I don't know anybody behind the door. None of us do. Okay. Somebody saw earlier and said that they think that in this situation, we should just arrest these people and charge them and then have the jury. That's not how we do law. That's not how we do law. That would be a very scary way to do things. What needs to happen is the police need to be given their time to investigate the case. And for everything that I've heard, the police is over. That part of the investigation's over. And it's now in the prosecutor's hands. The prosecutor and the various prosecutor staff in the House and the investigators in their office will now review all the pieces of this. If they need to call the police to do further this or that, or to interview someone else, or to do this, or to bring somebody back in, they will do that. And we'll know when we know. It might be this week. It might be the beginning of next week. If it takes 3 weeks, listen, in a felony case, okay, in a lot of felony cases, you have 5 years to file a felony. You've got 2 years to file a misdemeanor. And, in a case, if it's going to be quote unquote like murder, there is no statute of limitations. So it needs to take as long as it takes. And what doesn't help are the conspiracy theories and the misinformation. We have to be very careful with that. Now, all these people are running around and saying, and look, it's what brings it to your mind. Listen, I remember being 18 years old and hearing that 60-year-olds would have a heart attack and die. And I would freak out because I'm a hypochondriac. Most people don't hear, most people aren't 20 years old and hear 74-year-old so-and-so had a heart attack and died last night, and they don't go into hyper overdrive freaking out. You know what I mean? That doesn't happen. However, if you are a Best Buy back room stock boy, and you hear that another Best Buy backroom stock boy died in a freak accident in their Best Buy backroom stock warehouse, you're going to say, huh? Oh no, that makes me freak out. right. That's hilarious. When I was a police officer and I heard stories of officers parking their cars to catch up on paperwork, and they would be murdered because people would walk up to them and ambush them, you know what I stopped doing? I stopped parking my ass in my car to do paperwork. I kept moving. I didn't park and sleep and do all that dumb shit. You know? When I heard that, a detective went with patrol to just check up and serve some minor arrest warrant on some nonsense bullshit thing, and the detective was shot and killed because he didn't have a vest on, you know what I did? I carried my outer carrier, my vest carrier. I didn't ever do that, even though it messed up my suit clothes or my polo or whatever. I didn't, you know what I mean? When you do something and something affects you and you hear something, it affects you. Until, let me tell you this. On September 30th, on October 31st, on November 4th, a whole bunch of cleaning people got up, went into businesses, went into homes, and weren't running around thinking, oh my God, I'm going to be killed. But now we're hearing everybody in that field saying, oh my God, we're all going to be killed. Look, freak accidents and bad shit and dumb shit happens. I'm not saying that this is okay. It's not okay. It's horrible. It's bad. It's tragic. It's the same thing as hearing a car wreck kills a family of 5 going down whatever, and I'm like, well, okay, I don't want to drive. You can't live your life like that. We have to look at what's going on, and we have to determine. Now, I'm going to tell you. Hey, brother, I'm trying. Thank you, Lenny boy. It's been a long time since we've seen you, brother. I hope you're doing all right. If we find out that this guy belongs to anti-Hispanic Facebook pages and he's racist and he's hyper vigilant and whatever, okay, well, we start looking at what's going on, and they're looking into all of that stuff. Okay, when this comes out, when this story pops off and we find out as much as we're going to find out, okay, we will. No, I appreciate it, brother. You're welcome here anytime, on or off chat. So yeah, I love you, brother. Glad to see you. If we find out that this was an intentional thing, this guy will get charged. But we don't, or we shouldn't just because a terrible accident happens. Now, some accidents might require it. You know, it might require it. You know, there's some places in the United States where if you're a semi driver and an accident occurs and the person that's involved in the accident with you dies, you're very possibly looking at jail time. I know a guy who was involved in an accident, and it was just a freak accident, and he went to prison. If the law, what needs to happen in this case is what fits the law. Hey, I see it. I love it, brother. Thank you very much. I love it. You're always welcome here, bro. Some situations could be any one of us. Maybe it wasn't the cleaning lady. Maybe it was a candidate that was out walking door to door. Maybe it was the pizza boy. Maybe it was his son or daughter's friend. You know, like I just really want. I see people saying like, "Oh, this is definitely murder." No, it's definitely homicide. It's definitely homicide. It may be murder. I very seriously doubt it. I very seriously doubt it. And if he is arrested and charged with murder, and the facts stay the way they are to allow Guy Relford to continue to represent this person, I fully believe that he will be vindicated. If there's some kind of lesser charge of some kind of reckless homicide, or I don't know that it would match reckless homicide. I feel like if it's going to be something, it would be like voluntary manslaughter. But I still don't know. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So here's the deal. Homicide is just the taking of a life. If the facts of the case match up to this guy knowingly and intentionally killing this person, then it could be murder. No, and I take that back. He could get reckless. It could be reckless. It could be reckless in the fact that he shot through the door blindly. That could be that. There's the reckless. That could be reckless. Just blindly shooting through a door. You know, if I'm shooting through a door, listen, that's kind of, knowing where your shots are and shot placement. If I'm shooting through a door, I'm not going to be aiming up at weird ass places. I would be aiming for center mass in the doorway if someone's there, Let me go back here and see what someone said here. So in the sense of law, what's your perspective of no imminent threat? Well, so all I can say about that, because that is the big piece that's missing here for his self-defense. We don't know I don't know, and I don't know if you just popped in or if you've been here the whole time, and if you just popped in, welcome, thank you for being here. I've premised this by saying, obviously, we don't know all the facts yet. I'm just talking more broadly of all of these things, not specifically in this case, but talking in this case. I don't know. We'll have to hear that. We'll have to find that out. We'll have to find out what that was, what that is. Maybe there's something there. Well, we know he didn't shoot. And listen, Dave, I'm telling you, I still believe I'm still more on this guy's favor than not. First off, and I'm going to be clear about that. I know that doesn't make everybody happy. That's fine, but I don't like that everybody's just like it. So I don't like the fact that it seems as if a lot of people have quickly made this a race thing. I've not seen anything, or I've not heard anything, or I've not known anything that makes this a race thing, other than the fact that what I'm hearing is this is a white male, and we know that the victim was a Hispanic female. Yeah, that I guess makes it racial because we've got two people of two different races. But if Kate shoots me, I guess that's still racial because it's a white person shooting a white person. So, like, I guess it could be racial. Everything's racial, I guess. You know what I mean? But I've not seen anything that's made this be a racial thing to me. Let me put this up here real quick because I've had a couple people mention this, and so I wanna put this up here. Let me see if I can find the one. Damn it. I've got too many mouses in front of me. Too many mice. Let me see which one. Yeah, right here. We can see the door here. Give me 1 second. Lenny, you asshole. I love you. I haven't seen you in a long time. I love seeing you back here, brother. Okay, let's take a look at this. This is from WTHR, I believe. Let's take a look at this.
In our other big story tonight, Whitestown police are investigating the death of a cleaning crew worker.
This is just so devastating. Investigators say that someone shot this woman early this morning as she was trying to enter a house. They tell our Brandon Schaff it appears that she knocked on the wrong door.
In the Heritage subdivision in Whitestown, a 911 call was made for a possible home invasion on Mays Lane. Whitestown police responding to that 911 call Wednesday morning. When they arrived,
Dude, is that recorder 12 years old?
They found a woman who had been shot. The woman was moved and life-saving efforts were made, but she died before officers arrived. According to WMPD, there was no evidence of home entry.
All right. So here's the bullet hole. So there's no peephole. No peephole in the door. And for everybody saying maybe he was looking out that top window, I don't think that he would be. I don't think he could look at. I think this top window is above where someone's head would be. I think that top window is too high. I think that window is just for light. I don't think that's a look out your door type of window. Okay. And so look here on the door. We've got the deadbolt we see where the deadbolt lock is. The deadbolt's right here. And so, you know, where there is now. I was going to say that, but I didn't. But you guys beat me to it. Gross. Alva, that's look, that's so I'm going to tell you this. It quote could be a warning shot. Now that's something you can't do in Indiana. You can't we can't send out warning shots. You either meet the requirement for deadly force or you don't. So yes, send me the photo. Anxiously awaiting this photo. While I'm awaiting this, I want to read this. It sounds like we've already got it. I want to read this press release. Well, so I want to read to you the press release from the Whitestown Police Department. Okay, give me a second. I want to read this to you from the Whitestown Police Department. For the record, so we can have it in here, okay? So this is November 5th. So this was the first press release from November 5th. Fatal shooting in Whitestown subdivision. Wednesday morning, 11/5/25 at 6:49 a.m., officers in the Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department responded to a 911 call reporting a possible residential entry in progress at a home in the Heritage subdivision. Upon arrival, officers encountered an adult female who sustained a gunshot wound, along with adult male on the front porch of the residence. Officers acted quickly to secure the home and get the female moved to a safe location to attempt life-saving measures. But it was discovered that she was already deceased upon the officers' arrival. It was later determined that the individuals attempting to enter the home were members of a cleaning crew who had mistakenly arrived at the wrong address. This remains an active and ongoing investigation into the fatal shooting, and facts gathered do not support that a residential entry occurred. We want to reassure the community that this appears to be an isolated incident and there's no known threat to the public safety. The loss of life is always a profound tragedy, and our hearts and prayers go out to those affected. WMPD is committed to conducting a thorough and impartial investigation. Our detectives are interviewing all individuals involved, and our crime scene investigators are meticulously collecting and analyzing all relevant evidence to understand the full scope of what occurred. We are working closely with the Boone County Prosecutor's Office to ensure every aspect of this case is handled with care and diligence. Due to the complexity of this investigation, we anticipate our next official update will be available no sooner than next week. We understand that the incidents like this can cause concern and speculation. We respectfully ask the public to place their trust in the investigative process and refrain from sharing unverified information. These cases are often complex and require time to fully understand. Misinformation can be harmful to those involved and to the integrity of the investigation. WMPD remains committed to transparency and will provide accurate updates as soon as they are available. We appreciate the community's patience and support as we work to uncover the truth. Okay, so that was the first their first update. Okay, and so that's that. Now, they released an update 2 days later on November 7th. And it says, update on ongoing fatal shooting investigation. The Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department has completed its initial investigation into the shooting incident that occurred on Wednesday, November 5th, 2025, and has formally submitted the case to the Boone County Prosecutor's Office for review. The victim has been identified as Maria Florinda Rios Perez de la I always mess up the last name, de la Velazquez, a 32-year-old resident of Indianapolis, Indiana. We extend our deepest condolence and prayers to her family and loved ones during this difficult time. The Boone County Coroner's Office has determined the manner of death as a homicide. Ding, ding, ding. It is important to clarify that the term homicide is a medical classification indicating that one human being caused the death of another. This designation does not imply criminal intent or legal culpability, and it should not be interpreted as a criminal finding. We are aware of false and misleading information circulating on social media suggesting that local police officer resides at the home where the incident occurred. Some posts have even named specific officers. We want to unequivocally state that these claims are entirely false. No officer, whether currently serving, retired, resigned, terminated, or otherwise affiliated with the Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department or any other police department, resides at or has personal connection to the location of the incident. These inaccurate claims pose serious safety risk to uninvolved officers and their families and must cease immediately. At this time, we have not released the name of the homeowner. This is a complex, delicate, and involving case, and it would be both inappropriate and potentially dangerous to disclose that information. Given the nature of the ongoing investigation and the concerning spread of misinformation online, we ask the public to exercise patience and allow the investigative process to conclude. The safety and privacy of all individuals involved must remain a priority. We remain committed to transparency and will continue to provide updates as appropriate. We thank the community for its patience and support as we work diligently to ensure through thorough, just process. We welcome respectful and constructive engagement. However, we will not tolerate comments that include false information, defamatory statements, threats, or any form of abusive or inappropriate content. Such comments will be immediately deleted, and repeated violations will result in blocked from this page, blah, 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 whatever. Okay. Here's the thing. This is normal standard police procedure, what they're doing with this name. I have been seeing as late as this evening, people have been saying that a police officer shot this woman. And that is just not true. Not a retired officer, not a current officer, not a fired officer, no officer. And I'm glad that the Whitestown police came out and said that. I am shocked that they did. I honestly, that's pretty amazing. I'm glad they did that, because that should stop that, but it's not. And this is how this misinformation is harmful. Okay. So that was their so far their last statement. Now, there is a statement from the prosecutor's office, and it was released 2 days later on the 9th, which was yesterday. And it reads as follows. Boone County Prosecutor's Office reviewing Whitestown fatal shooting case. The Boone County Prosecutor's Office has received the initial investigative report and evidence from the Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department concerning the fatal shooting of Maria. I'm not reading her name again. My thoughts and prayers go out to her and that crazy long name. We extend our gratitude to the Whitestown Metropolitan Police Department for their professionalism and thorough investigation. The work ensures that every piece of evidence is properly documented and preserved. This is a heartbreaking case for everyone involved. As prosecutors, our responsibility is to review the facts and apply the Indiana law impartially and fairly. We will begin an exhaustive and review of the evidence immediately, and will continue working closely with WMPD to ensure no detail is overlooked. We anticipate this review will take several days. Once complete, we will announce our decision on how we intend to proceed. This is likely to occur at the end of this week or early next week. We have been in a regular contact with the family and their legal representative, and we will keep them informed throughout this process. Indiana's stand your ground law is a unique and the unique circumstances of this case make a careful, detailed review essential before determining what steps we may take next. Under the Indiana Rules of Professional Conduct, particularly Rule 3.6 and 3.8, we cannot discuss specific evidence or speculate on outcomes at this time. When we are legally permitted to share more, we will do so. Our hearts remain with the family. Justice requires patience, and we ask the community's understanding as we work diligently to reach the right decision under Indiana law. We do not anticipate further comment until a decision is reached, as our focus must remain on the review. And I will tell you that I have talked to my source in this office, and I am on their media rollout. So anytime they release anything to the media, I will have it as soon as everyone else has it. And if I can pull any strings, maybe we'll get something a second earlier, but we'll have it as soon as possible. So that's that. Now, I do want to show you this picture. Let me see if we've got a picture here. Oh, yeah, look. Great. Hey, look. So here's the picture that we had from Wish TV. And for clarification, Megan sent this picture to us so we could see it better and understand it better. Wish TV's picture. Wish TV's picture. In all fairness, she sent some other pictures, but that's just happens to be the first one I clicked on. So give me 1 second, and I will also look at the other pictures. Give me 1 second. Okay. I kind of wish that other one was not there. Okay, so here's the other picture. Jesus. So okay. Now that I'm seeing that, what is our belief here? What is our belief here? Kate, what's your thought about this window at the top? We got windows on the side too. I mean, look. I don't know how close he was to the door. Okay. If he was truly scared, I fully believe that he wouldn't be on top of the door. If he's scared, he's going to be backed away from it. So I believe that the investigation will show, and listen, the police will have asked him, where were you standing in the door? Where were you standing? They will see, obviously she was moved. They know what the hole in the door is. They will be able to work that out, and they will be able to fully tell, and they will know, and we will hopefully know how far away from the door he is. We will know that. Okay, it's half dark outside. The owner probably was scared. I don't know why he was scared. And we've got to look at various reasons. I mean, had they been mugged before in some other place? Like what? Why would they be scared? Why would they be worried? What has gone on in their life that's made them worried? Maybe we'll learn that. I don't know. Let me pull up here. Let me see here. These other pictures that you said you've sent me. Yeah, I'm gonna just say I'm going to say that I don't believe that they would specifically have been able to see out the top window. But I don't know who you are, ARW or I don't know when you said plenty of windows to see out of. ARW. I don't know. It's the window on the side and the window up top. And depending on how tall these people were, I don't know that they would be seeing out top. But if they were really scared, they wouldn't be right there on the door. For whatever reason, they were scared. If we learn that they were in fact scared, and that's what the deal is, I don't think they're on top of the door. Also, we don't know, the caliber of the weapon. I mean, it's a small hole. So a 940 caliber. I mean, a 380, a 38. We'll learn all of that. All of that'll be in the forensics. All of that information will be told. Yeah, that's a small hole. That's a dude. This would be a freak. That'd be a weird dude if it's a 22. I don't know. Time will tell. Time will tell there. We'll get that information. And it's not going to be too much longer till we get it. I just want people to use caution. Pray for these people's family, the victim's family. It's a horrible situation, a terrible, terrible situation. There's a lot that we don't know. We shouldn't be trying to guess. Just look at the information that we know and let the investigation roll out. I truly don't believe that they're doing anything nefarious. I know that happens all the time in different places. I don't think that's happening here. And we'll call it as we see it on the flip side. I don't know. That's all else I can say about it. My heart hurts for her and her family, her kids, her husband, her extended family. This is not a situation that I would want to put on the people who were, look, I used to go to work and every day thinking like, hey, I could be killed today. And I have to be prepared to not be killed today. And, I would train and think about that. And I still do that a lot, even though I'm not a cop. You don't understand how many times people threaten me for doing. I think I've been more threatened doing what I do now than when I was a cop. Quite possibly. And send me one. I will play one. I think all they do really, I think what they do is they really inflame the situation and they get everybody in the emotions. But if you send me one, send me whatever you think is the best one, and I will play it before we roll. We're getting ready to leave out of here, but I will play it here real quick. I just let me see what this person said. Didn't the 911 call say he called saying Hispanics were trying to break in and that he was upstairs? I think, what did you point out? Oh, hold on. There's a couple of things here I want to hit real quick. Oh, okay. Give me a second. You put what up? In Messenger? Type it to me. Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Okay. Good. Oh, I get it. Well, I screwed up the first one, but I'll keep it in mind. I get what you said. Okay, so okay, didn't the 911 call say he called saying Hispanics were trying to break in and that he was upstairs? So I've not listened to the 911 call. They've not played the 911 call. I went back through a thing that I have that archives 911 calls, and they've pulled it, so they don't have that. So I don't know that we've heard it. I know that we've seen whatever. There's been people that have played what some journalists have said, and what was said was that they had been in a bedroom upstairs. My bedroom's upstairs. This room I'm in is upstairs. And it took me all of 3 seconds to get downstairs when someone was knocking on the other day, even when I was live. Being upstairs doesn't have to mean, it's not Bruce Wayne's mansion. It could be 6 tiny little steps or something. So I don't think that necessarily means anything. He did say, and I will stick with that. I think that he said that he thought that there were 2 male Hispanics trying to break in. We don't know what they were doing. Pushing and touching on the door, to some, could be trying to break in. To someone pushing and trying on the door, if they were upstairs, something was done, obviously, that aroused them, that caused them some alarm. You know what I mean? I just feel like, obviously something happened there, and we're going to have to learn what that is. We don't know what that is now. We don't know. What if he was downstairs on the sofa? Look here. Either way, if he's downstairs on the couch, if he's in the kitchen, if he's on the toilet, if he's wherever he's at, obviously something happened that caused the alarm. The police are saying there was not residential entry. Okay, so that's also a word that you have to understand. Residential entry is the little brother to burglary. And burglary means breaking and entering a dwelling. Residential entry is breaking and entering into the dwelling. Burglary is breaking and entering to commit a felony. Residential entry is breaking and entering just to enter. Okay, it's the step down from burglary. But it doesn't have to mean that you've broken glass or whatever. You can have attempted burglary. I don't know what's happening. I'm just shouting out things that could happen. If you're downstairs rattling the door, pushing on the door, you don't have to break in or even do any damage to cause someone to think that, oh my God, someone's trying. I don't know what would cause someone to think that. We will have to find that out on the flip side of this. Maybe that happened. Maybe there's someone that knows. Maybe we will hear that. It doesn't look like there's ring. So I don't think that we're going to have that. It doesn't look like on it. And they've not said anything. No, it looks like in this little picture here, it looks like a generic doorbell, which is kind of weird. kind of strange that nice of a house, that nice of a neighborhood wouldn't have something. You know what I mean? Very, very strange. And there's people that are saying that Mercurio, the husband, said that he checked the address twice. He drove around Whitestown subdivision once to confirm, and he and his wife, that they were in the right area. Look, that's sad that's happened. Whatever he did, whatever they did, let's say he would have taken an hour to do it. Whatever he did, whatever they did, they weren't at the right place. They weren't at the right area. So that's that. It's sad. It sucks, but they weren't at the right area. It is. I'll put this one up and then we're getting ready to roll. We've been here. It's almost 2 hours long. This is 30 seconds. Here we go. I definitely understand why this guy's sad, why the family's sad. It sucks. Here they don't even talk to him. I don't even see. I got a real problem with this because why not? Like, if you're going to interview him, but to just show him crying is a strange thing. Obviously, he's going to be upset. I don't know. We just went through a death in the family a couple of weeks ago. I don't know who's not emotional at funerals, especially if they're tragic situations. The husband says she didn't even put a key in, and that's when I heard the shots happen. Okay. Yeah, I get it. And I believe that. I believe that they didn't do that. I'm not going to, we don't have to make them bad guys. I'm not trying to make them bad guys. I don't think that's what anybody's doing. It's a perception. And that's why perception things matter. That's why that's really a big thing. That's why the name of my first show is Perception is Reality. She didn't even put the key in when I heard the shots happen, Velazquez told Indy Star through a loved one who translated. I saw my wife had stepped back twice, and then the keys dropped. Then she dropped, and I went to catch her. I was trying to console her and tell her everything was going to be okay, but I was seeing the blood coming out. Just after 6:45 a.m., Whitestown Metropolitan Police received the 911 call. 12 hours later, Vasquez sat with his 3 daughters, 17-year-old, 10-year-old, 8-year-old, and his young son. All names I'm not going to say. He clutched a photo of his wife and cried with his family. Behind them was an altar lit with a prayer candle and photo of the wife. Over 30 people filled the home. Brother in Indianapolis to support the family on Wednesday evening. Visitors had come in and out all day to pray with the family, cook for them, to offer support while they grieved. It's a horrible situation. It's bad. Just pray for the family. Raising them isn't going to be easy. For me, she was the love of my life. She was a good wife and a good mother. The things that you would imagine a grieving father say. It's terrible. The loss of life is always a profound tragedy. That's what the police said. Velazquez said whoever shot his wife should have called the police first. He did. And he did call the police. He called the police and then he shot. And we're going to have to learn out why that happened. Was there a reason? Is there not a reason? At the end of the day, the law should be applied as it fits. And that's the bottom line. It's definitely such a horrible, horrible situation. Very, very bad. We did not cover that, Lenny. So, all right, folks, that is going to do it for us. We will clearly follow this case, everything that comes out with it, any more that comes out with it, anything I hear. As someone said, it is very much a political situation now, which it definitely shouldn't be. But it's 2025, so that's the way it is. Okay. You guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. Have a great day tomorrow. We will see you tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Take care. God bless. And hey, smash that like button on your way out. And goodbye.